Conflict Resolution Styles, Part 2. What is better to use one style over the other? Generally speaking, everyone has a default or usual way of dealing with conflict through one of these styles. For example, one person might tend to avoid all conflict by not bringing up particular topics or avoiding potential interaction with certain people entirely. Another person may prefer being competitive by engaging in arguments. Although everyone may have a most comfortable way of dealing with conflict, all individuals can and do use all five conflict modes at one point or another in their everyday lives. After all, response to a conflict often depends on the context. Example of a team conflict. Two team members are arguing about the merit of each other's solution to a project problem. Both have arguments, but the conflict is beginning to escalate from a task conflict to a relationship type of conflict. The solution requires a radical change to some of the project activities in order to increase the quality of the outputs. One proposed solution that will have a modest increase in cost while keeping the same time to complete. The other proposed solution will not require a cost increase but will have a modest increase in time. While technically both solutions are valid, the conflict is starting to escalate. The strategies for managing conflict are based on four factors: issues, the extent to which the conflict involves important priorities, principles, or values are involved in the conflict; relationship, the importance of maintaining a close, mutually supportive relationship with the other party; relative power, the power balance between the people in the conflict; available time, how much time you have to resolve the issue. By knowing when to use each strategy, you can begin to make choices about which is most appropriate to the situation. Competing is a useful strategy when the outcome is extremely important and an immediate decision needs to be taken. It is efficient and effective when you need to take a stand. In that case, one can use power to win. Compete is appropriate when quick decisions are required. Maintaining the relationship is not important, and when even unpopular decisions need to be implemented. However, when used too often, the competing style can escalate the conflict, create resentment, and can damage the relationships. Example of the competing style. Both team members are confronting each other on the merits of their solutions. One of the parties uses her legitimate power in the project to argue, debate, and then get her solution accepted. She feels she's right and there is no time to waste. She knows that the relationship with the other person will suffer, but she strongly feels it's right for the project. Conflict management experts advocate collaboration as the best way to resolve a conflict over important issues. Collaboration is the way to achieve the best outcome on important issues as well as to build good relationship since it takes into account all of the parties' underlying interests. Collaboration works best when the parties trust each other, time is available, it's important to come up with an optimal solution and maintain the relationship. The downside is that the process requires a lot of time and energy. If time is precious, compete or compromise might be a better solution. Let's go back to the example of the collaboration style. The two team members decide to work for a common solution that will satisfy their positions by integrating both approaches into the final solution. They work together and come up with a solution that incorporates the benefits of both alternatives. The changes will not require an increase in cost or a delay in the project. It's an optimal solution. They had to work extra hours, but they knew it was important to reach an agreement for the benefit of the project. When dealing with moderately important issues, compromising can often lead to quick partial solutions. However, compromise does not completely satisfy either party, and compromise does not foster innovation the way that taking the time to collaborate can. It works when people are equally committed to the project goals. You can save time by reaching intermediate resolution for complex issues, and the time to reach a solution is limited. However, compromise can backfire if the parties overlook important principles and long-term goals for the sake of the details. Moreover, it is not the best way to reach an optimal solution on important issues. Example of the compromise style. Here, both team members agree that they need a solution that will benefit the project and they don't have the time to work and get an optimal solution. They decide to compromise on the changes to the activities, but they know it's not a final solution that will satisfy them both, since the solution they agree will result in a small increase in cost and time. Avoiding is an appropriate strategy when there is a clear advantage to waiting to resolve the conflict. When used as a choice, it can help to cool things down and reduce the stress. Avoiding is inappropriate when the conflict is small and trivial, when there is no time to resolve the conflict, when people are too emotionally charged and it's better to wait for some time. However, if either the issue or the relationship between the parties is important, avoidance is a poor strategy because important decisions may be made by default and postponing resolution of the issue may make things worse. Example of avoidance styles. After arguing for some time on the pros and cons of each solution proposed, both team members decide to avoid resolving the conflict since they both feel it is trivial and the changes to the activities are not really needed to improve the quality of the outputs. They also do not have the time to invest in finding an optimal solution. Accommodate is a good strategy when you find yourself in conflict over a fairly unimportant issue and you would like to resolve the conflict without straining your relationship with the other party. Someone who accommodates builds goodwill and can be perceived as reasonable. The focus is on the relationship as opposed to the outcome. Accommodate is the right strategy when the issue is not that important, it's more important to maintain the relationship, any solution is adequate, and the time to resolve the conflict is limited. The downside is that you might lose credibility and influence if accommodation becomes a pattern. Example of accommodating style. One of the team members decides that it's more important to maintain the relationship than spending time in arguing and debating. He decides to accommodate since both solutions are almost the same. It's more important to have a solution than to continue with the conflict. Conflicts are part of project work. The level and severity of conflicts depend on the nature of work, the type of people involved, and the environment of the organization. How to manage conflict is an essential attribute of any project leader, especially in their day-to-day task of interacting with various individuals. How to address these conflicts and come to a resolution is an important part of the project leader's skill set. Conflicts that go unnoticed or unresolved for extended periods can negatively affect the outcome of the project. Knowing your dominant style and understanding that you can choose the adequate response to conflict can increase your ability to effectively manage conflicts in your team.